Not the way I wanted to start my video, but this is not how I wanted to start off my video, having stuff going around in the background. But alright, so this is going to be the I promised we were going to do the champion by champion list, and I kind of forgot about that. This is going to be for Ashe now. So let's start with this. Now, the first thing to note about Ashe is when we look at her legendary cards, Ashe is rather unique among the frontline champions, where she has one or two strong choices depending on your build, and the rest are kind of subjective. In my opinion, she really only has two. There's only three viable ones. Slugshot, I will not consider. I don't consider Slugshot. The other three all have uses, but they do require builds. Battering Ram does require a bit more of a build, and even Fortress Breaker requires a build, but it's, to me, in my opinion, it's the best card that you have on her. The first thing I want to know, I'm just picking my basic build, is I want to show you what her base loadout is. So this is the important thing to know. For one thing, she does have the highest base health in the game outside of ultimate abilities. You can buff her up to 5650, which does give her highest health pool outside of a Makoa ult. I want to make that clear because a lot of people told me, no, Makoa's the highest health in the game. No. Before they nerfed Leviathan, he was, and in his ultimate he still is, but it's 8 seconds. It's not a permanent fixture. He does not spawn into the game with that much health. So let's get out the way. Ashe is very good at displacement. Now, Ashe is what I like to call a bullet sponge. She's very good as a push tank. And you wouldn't think that looking at your stat line. For example, basically, if we want to round up, every second she does 400 damage in an AoE. And it's not a very big AoE, but we'll get to that a little bit later on when I want to compare Slugshot. Her ult is also not very good. You can kill somebody, but they have to be weak, and they have to be, like, right on it. You have to, like, land on them with the stick. The big thing is it's very good for holding on to the point. She is, if you look at her ultimate, it's called Assert Dominance. She's very much like that. If you don't assert your dominance with her, you are going to get dominated. But just your basic kit. So you fire. So you have a charge ability, which lets you charge in. And if you hit somebody with it, you knock them back. This right here is the maximum range that you have on her base. As a poking weapon, it's not very good. But it could be better. It could be worse. This is not an accurate depiction. This is with Fortress Breaker, and this is why I think Fortress Breaker is the best thing, because it's a very good shield. And then she has her Kinetic Burst, which is her knockback, which just sends everything flying. Bye, have a good time. And then you go into your shoulder bash right there, and you've got knockback on that too. Let me just try and generate the ult faster.
Keep up the good work. Double kill. Triple kill.
Right. So there's the ult. And now no one can really hurt me. So that's your basic guide to how to play Ashe. But now let's look a little bit deeper. Alright, so let's start off with your tips. For one thing, she is all area damage except for her shoulder bash. Her shoulder bash is very effective. But there are a couple of things you need to know when dealing with it. For one thing, let me move up a little bit further. Hold on. So, here's an idea. This is the edge of the map right here. There is a pip right here shooting you. This is a bad idea. I'm gonna shoulder bash into that pip. Boop, he goes weightless, jumps over your head, and now you're in the ocean. Or off the map, in this, whatever. You're in the death trap, wherever it is. You're dead. Now you have the Kinetic Burst, which is a very effective knockback. Because what it allows you to do, especially as a point tank, by the way, this is a bit of a spoiler. They are coming out with a alien colonial marine type themed costume in the next patch for Ashe. I fucking love it, even though the voice pack on it is god-awful. But it really, there's somebody at Hi-Rez that has to understand playing Ashe and is a big fan of Alien, not because of the way the skin is designed, because this is how you properly play Ashe. Okay? Now, let's say that the Ying is on our side. This is a good Ying, and that's an enemy team, Fernando. And we're on the point. And you put up a shield so that you can protect the Ying, but it doesn't do anything. So you say, hey! Get away from her, you bitch! Boom! Bam! That's how you play Ashe. When you're on the point, all you really do is knock them back. To be honest, Ashe is the queen of displacement. She has not one but two abilities that knock you back, and if she runs the card on her ultimate ability, boom, then she can stun you, and when you come out of it, she can pop you, and then just for safe measure, she can do that. Interesting thing that I do want to mention, by the way, on Ashe. Ashe kind of has a weird kit. She's like the Grover of tanks, if you think about it. Now, here's why. Let's look at your kit for a minute, just to show you. So, your ultimate gives you damage immunity in a radius around you. Right? As long as you stay in that, you get damage immunity, which is wonderful. Problem. Your shoulder bash, I see too many Ashes that they use kinetic burst or they use shoulder bash and they knock people away in their ult. It's not a good idea. You are in your ult. You have 8 seconds of damage immunity. So when you ult as Ashe, let's say... Come on, let's fight. Yeah, pretend I'm jumping here. Come on, let's fight. Yeah. Alright, I stick my flag in the ground and we're gonna call that the flag, right? Yeah. This is what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... Reload, charge up a kinetic shot, 5. That's how you should play Ashe. Use the time that you're in your ult for free damage to get your shots off, knowing that they can't return fire. Then worry about knockback. Now, if you have allies that are behind they're behind you, let's say, you're trying to defend, and enemies are encroaching, like, Skye and Ying are flanking you, then I understand using the knockback. But I see too many people trying to use the knockback to save themselves when they don't need it in their ult. Your ult is also very easy to get taken out of. Any effect that has CC on it can knock you out of it. And just as an FYI, there's a few things your ult can counter. Your ult can counter most damage ults in the game. It counters Vivian, but that's a duration thing, so I don't count it. You can counter Victor's ult. The thing I do want to mention, make sure that you want to make sure you get your ult off in time to avoid it. You can use it to counter ult successfully. You can use it to counter ult Genos. You can use it to counter ult Kinessa, Lex, Leon, things of that nature. Problem. There are a few counters that you have, and it's entirely around CC, which is why I think CC is the biggest problem that you're going to have. Koga, by the way, is another big ult that you can counter, and I do want to mention that because I see a lot of Ashes sitting on their ult when Koga ult, and it pisses me off. You are pretty much the only counter to Koga at that point because you render his ult useless in that spot. You ulting as Ashe forces the Koga to go away with his ult. Fly away, little bird. But there are a few things that counter you. And let's start. Zin's ult, if he knows how to ult you, he can ult you off of your objective. Willow flies up into the air for the same amount of time that you're on the point. So if she times hers after yours, she can basically get some free damage in on you. And if she knows what she's doing, she just puts a dead zone on you anyways. Moji is the best counter in the game to an Ashe ult because she gets turned into a cookie and you eat her and her ult is gone. None of the team has to waste your breath. And I mentioned that she's the best ult because a lot of times I see what Khans do where Khans will pick people up. Khan is another good counter, by the way. Khan can, not only he has his commander's grab where he can rush onto the point, grab her by the balls or her strap on, whatever you want to say she has. We know she's a tranny. And chuck her off her point. And then Ashe just runs back onto her point as damage immune. So, that's something that, god damn, there's fucking dog toys everywhere. Yeah, I know, I have dog problems that I'm tending to as well. Just, you'll have to roll with it. But Moji is the best because Moji, most people say, well, you're a flank, you need to ult the tank, because they're the highest health. And as a Moji player, I say, no, I burn through tanks like they're absolutely nothing. I would rather ult the flank like Koga or Xin, who are pissing me off. Or Alex, or Roxas. Somebody that's pissing me off is who I'm going to ult. Right? But Moji ult is a guaranteed counter to an Ashe ult. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Now my Moji eats you far. I didn't time that right. You'll have to just roll with the joke again. I'm kind of tired right now, but that's always the case with me. Anyways, Moji counters. Pip counters because Pip turns her into a chicken. But he can't damage her as long as she stays in the point. So, it's a half counter. Like, Saris is another good example because she can suck people off. That came out wrong. Her ultimate can suck people off the objective. So, that's a very effective strategy. Talus can use his ultimate and his Blitzer Upper to knock Ashe out of her objective. Torvald can blow her off the objective. Damba has his ultimate to get her off. Makoa can pull her off with the hook. Khan, I already mentioned. Genos has Void Grip, but it's interesting to note she doesn't take damage in the air. But if Xin ults her while she's been Void Gripped, it will do damage. So that's an important thing to note. Anara, she'll take the stun, but she won't take the damage. What I often do a lot of times is I'll put the wall up underneath her so it pops her up into the air. It is not like a Koga ult, which the Koga ult is a radius that goes upwards. Ashe's ult is primarily when she's on the ground. So where I mentioned the Genos there, if Genos Void Grips her and Xin were to like go up and ult her, that does work. If she is above where her flag is, she will take damage. Another Ashe is a good counter because of the knockback. Bomb King with the knockback. Cassie with the knockback. Drogo's Combustible with the knockback. Any champion with knockback. I forgot about Shaolin because I don't really play Impaler Arrow. I mostly do Exploding Arrow. You'll have to excuse me for being a noob tube as that. Looking at some builds. Let's look at some items here. Edit loadout. So let's start with Fortress Breaker. This is, in my opinion, the best. Now, I do have a build for this I'm going to show off. This is mostly a shield build. There's not really a lot built into it, and I don't have a lot built into health. This is giving her one of the hardest to kill shields in the game. So we'll equip this. Where's the shooting range? Here. Just to show off.
Idiot. It's not like I was trying to protect you or anything.
I mean, she just sits there and takes casting shots, and she has an 8-second cooldown on it. It is decent. I think it's good. You have to realize, Ashe's shield to me, I've never been a fan of it. I like Barrack's shield better. Her shield is large. It is longer than Barrack's, where Barrack's is taller. This card makes it a lot bigger. It gives it more health. It makes it larger and all that. The real problem I've always had is I did not like the speed at which Ashe's shield moves forward. I like Fortress Breaker because of the fact that I am able to actually have a wall that I can hide behind. Rally here, there's nothing really to show off. It charges faster, it stuns them for 2 seconds, and they take 35% more damage while you are in your ult. That's why I said with the rally here, by the way, I'm just going to show off. These are the two primary builds, by the way, that I run for Ashe. This is a CC reduction. Now, you notice my two primary builds, they literally are the same cards, just with different amounts. So this, instead of having knockback, what I did here is I have Feather, which means I can't be slowed, and then I have the 42% CC reduction. Now, I have that in there because that is Resilience 1. So I only need to buy Resilience 2 to get the benefit in my in the loadout, because that'll put me at 90%. It doesn't stack up to 100%. It won't. But I don't have to get Resilience 3 off of this build. So that's an important thing. And for me, Ashe is a slower tank. Nimble is a good choice on her, believe it or not. Especially if you're being more of an aggressive push tank. So this is definitely a good build. For me, the reason why I have Feather at 5 instead of Indomitable is because the resilience doesn't affect slow as much. Where you can be slowed, with this build, I can't be slowed. This build cuts out Pip, and this build cuts out Buck. And Pip and Buck are two of the more annoying champions for the CC-based champions, outside of Khan and Moji, who are just straight-up counters to you. Pip and Buck are, like, right there behind it. And the thing is, they can't slow me, so they can't do that burst damage. So a flanking Pip on Catalyst is completely countered. If I'm not slowed, I don't take the damage, and he can't slow me. And on Buck, you know, I can't be slowed, so I can't take that bonus burst damage off of him. So that to me is the big thing. And then Blow Off, as I call it, this is your knockback build, where I have the increased knockback of kinetic burst, and I have my level 3 on this one is the shoulder bash, and then the filler is the slow and the resilience, because let's look at Ashe. She's a big tank with very limited offensive firepower. She deals 400 a shot every second. That means it takes you, unassisted, 10 seconds to kill an ult, to kill another tank. If you want to kill Khan, it's going to take you 10 seconds. That's not even factoring in the reload time. You don't believe me? Fine, let's test this out. Oh shit, I walked over that by accident. No.
I have more than enough credits to afford something useful.
You don't believe me. This is how long it takes to kill Fernando. Right? Ready? Go!
Rumbled into ash.
Just gonna hold down R2. That's super exciting gameplay right there. Tank busting. Good job. This is a lot more effective strategy. Bye! Go away. What's that? You're coming back? No, you're not. Bye!
5 in a row.
Bye! Have a good time! Send a postcard! Alright. Now, Battering Ram is a very good card, but it's important to note. Now, this is the Battering Ram build that I have. So, the cooldown reduction, not as important. Mostly I have the damage reduction for 2 seconds after. And I will tell you why. This is the key thing. If you look at the way the card is set up, it is 90% damage reduction while channeling Shoulder Bash. That is when you are in that little position she has, that football pose there. Looks like she's about to dab on you or something. She's winding up. She's like doing some kind of weird dyslexic Heisman pose or something. But this is her when she's in that channeling up period, it's 90% damage reduction, which is great because it means you can survive a Terminus ult taking 400 damage. It's like getting shot by yourself. Yeah, that's nice. The timing on it is so precise, though. And when you come out of Shoulder Bash, while you are charging forward and then actually hit your target, you don't have that bonus. You don't get that 90% damage bonus. And for me, the 2-second window right there is the travel time to the target and punching them. So that gives, I go from 90% damage reduction to 4% to 40% damage reduction, which is arguably why I don't really use this build. I mean, it's not as effective. I do use it on occasion, especially if I'm like, okay, if I know I'm gonna need more mobility, I will buy Nimble and I will buy this. But it's not something I really do, and I'll show you.
I have more than enough credits to afford something useful.
Shut up, Ashe. I'm not talking to you. Alright, see what I mean. Alright, so watch right here.
Did you see that?
So now I get that damage reduction right there.
Not the face!
Here's some cover.
So let's do this. Alright, so you see... See what I mean right there? You saw what I said? So the numbers right there show what happens on Ash. The numbers show that, you know, I got that very brief, that one Cassie shot that did like maybe 50 damage. And then as soon as I go to hit her, bam! I took a ton of damage. I started taking more damage, and I took a ton of damage. And in my opinion, it puts yourself in a bad position. The next legendary card, this is the one that I don't, this is the last legendary card to cover, is Slugshot. I do not like Slugshot. I personally do not like it.
Useful.
Let me show you why. I'm going to show you Slugshot first, and then I'll show you why. This is your maximum range on Ash on Slugshot. That's a very good range. Here's the problem. That's a direct hit. Oh. Oh. That's not very good. Then we go to Fortress Breaker. Okay, so now we move up a little bit. Oh, wow. That's a lot of damage. I'm still hitting for about 400 damage, but I'm hitting 2 people at a time. And my ability to hit the 2 people at a time is very effective. Now this is where I will go into items, and this is where items become very important to me. Alright, so let's look. This is, my next thing is going to be an episode on items, so we're going to show off that. But this is the items for her. Master Rider, Morale Boost, Nimble, Chronos. Your utility category is your primary category on Ash, believe it or not. If you're going to play a push tank, you want to run Nimble. If you're going to be aggressive, trying to push their backline, Nimble is the way to go. If you are if you're an only tank, or if you don't want to run something. For example, if you're like me, I don't really run Ash as a push tank, so that knocks out Nimble. I don't really need Chronos unless I'm running a Shoulder Bash build. Shoulder Bash build is really the only thing I need Chronos for. I understand people that need Chronos. If you're running a shield build, but you don't have the cooldown in your cards because, say, you built around more Shoulder Bash or Kinetic Burst, yeah, Chronos is a good choice. I can't contest Chronos. I can't. The one category I cannot contest anything. Okay. Offensively, Cauterize is your best bet because she has that AoE burst. And like I said, I want to show you. This is why. Cauterize, 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 Cauterize.
That's 9 in a row.
They can't heal that. So I'm able, at a good range, to put hot shots into the backline. I can apply constant Cauterize to the enemy team.
Immortal.
It's not very effective, it's not pretty, but I can apply a good amount of Cauterize. Let me change my loadout just to reset that for and build. Oh, it won't reset? Okay. Well, anyways, Bulldozer's not very effective, in my opinion. Again, just particularly because of the low damage per shot that you deal as well. If it gave you the ability, you need Bulldozer 2 to 1 shot barrack turret. That's without any boosted in the turret's health. If you boost the turret's health, you're gonna need at least 3. Wrecker is a decent choice, but again, the low damage that you put out, it is effective, by the way, if you're going up against a Khan. Like, if it's you and Khan, I would buy Wrecker, 100%. Because you've got to work his shield down. He can take his shield up, put his shield up and down anytime he wants. You can't. Deft Hands is not a good choice. Cauterize or Wrecker are the ways to go. Wrecker is especially important against a Torvald. If you are running a Torvald, or up against a Torvald, or a Makoa and a barrack type thing, Wrecker all the way. Because, again, AoE, you're not going to deal as much damage per shot per shield, but you can burst down multiple shields if they have them up at a time. Healing category. Now, this is interesting. in my opinion, if you can't buy Rejuvenate, don't buy anything else. A lot of people have told me, well, Veteran's a good card because Veteran does not affect you in your ultimate. Let's make that clear. You heal out of combat. You in your ult counts as being in combat because you are susceptible to CC attacks. What Veteran affects, by the way, when they talk about being out of combat, are abilities that make you untargetable for a duration. So that's Moji's Magic Barrier. But it only lasts 2 seconds. It's not enough for the 4 seconds that's needed. A Sarah Shadow Travel, a Zin Billow, a Grok Ghost Walk, although that falls into the Moji category, a Maldamba Slither. These are things that Veteran affects, not an Ashe ult. So don't try and load up on Veteran and say, I'm going to get 8 seconds and I'm just going to heal up to maximum health and like that. No, doesn't work. Kill to Heal is effective on Ashe. It's very effective on Ashe. If you are playing that bulldozer mentality, that push up and knock people off type thing. If you're, especially on Fish Market, which is a very good map, where you can just push up and absolutely get in their back line and just destroy them. That's great. Do not, under any circumstance, buy Life Rip. Life Rip is going to give you 40 damage a shot. Seriously. Don't do it. It's a waste. Kill to Heal if you're being more damagey. Rejuvenate if you have a healer. If you have a healer, Rejuvenate. If you have a good healer, Rejuvenate. Definitely. Like I said, these are all perfectly viable options. If you are running Assert Dominance, you need to buy Morale Boost to stack on top of that. If you are running Slugshot and you're trying to do long-range sniping, you need Master Rider. If you're trying to be that aggressive push tank, you need Nimble Chronos. Illuminate is just useless. I'm sorry. If a Sky or a Shaolin or a Strix, if they're close enough where you can see them around you, they are in your comfort zone and they're going to get knocked off the map by a kinetic burst. Blast Shields, Haven, Resilience are your options. I'm always fond of Resilience. I will discuss that in a later video, like I said, because I don't want to pile on. I already piled on the Veteran bit. But that is Ashe in a nutshell. One thing I do say, so if you ult, that's a bad idea. Don't go chasing kills like that. Another interesting thing that you can do is drop a shield in front of it. In front of your ult. By the way, that ult just went away so fast. Like, wow. Another effective thing to note is how your knockback works. Your knockback consumes one of your shots. So if you are empty and you go to Kinetic Burst, it's not going to do anything until you reload. Observe. Shoot over here. I have to reload before I can knock her back. So it's important to make sure before you activate Kinetic Burst, you have one in the chamber. Another thing that's important to note as well is your Shoulder Bash is not a very good escape option. For example, if you're getting chucked off the map, like I said right here, okay? Like by a con, and you go to use your Shoulder Bash, you have to realize it's not a guaranteed way to get back on. You can do it, but it takes skill. Anyways, I hope this has been helpful. This is mostly just like personal opinions on what to run, what not to run, things of that nature. Obviously, if you disagree, that's completely fine. This is just my personal thing. Ashe has always been my worst tank. But I've gotten very good on Ashe. A lot of people have been commenting that I've been very good on Ashe. I brought her in ranked, and I carried a Khan and a Fernando as Ashe, which that's saying something. So my Ashe is no longer the weird-ass thing that it was. So, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.